Now we meet up with a girl named Shawnee, who somehow recognizes us from having saved an elf in Tim Curry's dungeon. Apparently some kind of quarantine of the Blight Plague, but we got no problems coming in. There's some mages casting spells on some of the elves to cure them of this plague, but apparently that cure involves them never being seen from again. And there's a giant lineup to get this spell. Now this seems a bit awkward. If people who go into this place and are never heard from again, why is everyone jumping at the chance to get this so-called cure? This is all in the chances of not getting the plague. Now, how is a medical magical cure, where you are guaranteed to disappear, a good thing, while simply keeping healthy, that is, surviving at least, is what you should be striving for anyway in the slums, and is somehow a better choice? We discover a nearly blind Templar named Otto, who is seeking some sort of evil or hopelessness feeling that is more than just in his gut. It's a deep feeling throughout the alienage he's receiving. It must be one of those Templar training things. Anyway, we go around back, but we can't get in. We enter some rundown apartment where apparently people are stealing elves from this place daily, in notes referred to as shipments that we find. We discover some sort of crime scene, and we're off to look for some clues. Now, this is getting kind of cool. People are being abducted, there's a plague going on that people are missing from. Yep, matches so far. People are getting attacked or killed. So we unlock a back door, find out that the shipments are being made by those from Tevinter, and we enter another building. Turns out the people who shipped elves out of the alienage were given dispensation to do their business here, all for the sake of gold, which means someone is selling slaves to Tevinter, and that's someone who granted these people authority. I assume this person of authority is getting a cut of the profits here. We end up meeting Dandy Loghain, who's a Tevinter mage, and he spills the beans about the entire plot.
Listen to that. A slaver calling me a bastard. I hope you know what you're doing.
Well, what is done is done. Well met, Grey Warden.
Which makes me think it's Loghain who gave out this authority. I guess BioWare couldn't be bothered to put someone else's voice as the actor to do the job here for this character. Anyway, you can kick his ass, send him on his way, kill him, or get some sort of magical boost to yourself by killing all the slaves. Now, if you don't kill all the slaves, you can free Valendrian, whom Shani was looking for. We can talk to him later to hear about Duncan, which overlaps with the City Elf origin story, which makes the story of Duncan one continuous episode. Duncan really did go around looking for recruits. That's a good bit of continuity that the story didn't really need to share with us. Still, it's nice to know that the level of detail was established, having this establishing character move throughout the premise, as it were. This being, of course, Dragon Age Origins. Now, as bloated as this story is, at least it connects. Unfortunately, the other side story with demons and children being sacrificed or what have you is separate, which I'm not even going to bother getting into. The whole mystery of who killed whom and who was being spirited away was just completely solved. The other story with demons and killing and all that is just to resound the theme of a dark mystery setting. There are supernatural powers here. Now, these two stories could have easily been combined with Sir Otto. As interesting as a character as he was, he became nothing more than a sacrificial lamb. Anyway, we get back to Eamon and finally start up the Landsmeet. And Trainer's here to stop us at the door, saying how wonderful Loghain is and how after the king's death everyone should have been united, but we're the ones causing the civil war. She's obviously faithful to Loghain, but she's also aware of the monster he's become. Now, you can persuade her, and she hopes that you can save him in the process. Failing said persuasion check, you'll just have to kill her, but that gets you her awesome sword, which our team doesn't actually use. And in good evil villain nature, Loghain appears to be surrounded by his female guards. Luckily, we're all clean of blood, while Alistair and company may not be. Always nice to go into debate covered in blood splatter. Loghain responds to Eamon's speech, saying he wonders when Orlais will conquer us, of course. He's also chiding Eamon that he'll simply put a puppet on the throne. In walks us, the supposed puppet master. Since we're not beholden to Orlais, we're literally an ex-noble of Ferelden, it kind of makes no sense. Now, we can say to Loghain, the Blight is the real threat, not Orlais. Even the noble houses are aware the real problem is the Blight, not Orlais.
There are enough refugees in Mybanor now to make that abundantly clear.
The south has fallen, Loghain. Will you let darkspawn take the whole country for fear of Orlais?
The Blight is indeed real, Wolf. But do we need Grey Wardens to fight it?
Why not? Why wouldn't you want their help? That's their one job. But Loghain's the one who's been fighting us at every turn, all because of not believing in Kaelin and Duncan And the fear of Orlais?
They claim that they alone can end the Blight, yet they failed spectacularly against the Darkspawn at Ostagar. And they asked to bring with them 4 legions of Chevaliers. And once we open our borders to the Chevaliers, can we really expect them to simply return from whence they came?
Well, everyone knows what happened at Ostagar. Loghain pulled his troops out and the entire company of the king was killed. And everyone kind of knows this, so he's being pretty cheeky even bringing this up and putting the blame on the Wardens. As well, 4 legions of Chevaliers? King Cailan asked for help from the existing Grey Wardens of Orlais. They sent 200 and got turned back at the border. That's how Riordan got in, since he was born in Ferelden, and why he got captured by Tim Curry. Now, I don't know what the Grey Wardens will do after they help kill an archdemon, but I'd rather have their help right now than not. If they have experience or knowledge fighting demons and mutated monsters and fighting archdemon dragon characters, then great. I say we need their help. Of course, we can't say any of this. There's a lot that we really want to lay down on the line here, but we're not in control of the conversation. Instead, we can say that he sold Ferelden citizens into slavery to fund his war.
What's this? There is no slavery in Ferelden! Explain yourself!
There is no saving the Alienage. Damage from the riots has yet to be repaired. There are bodies still rotting in their homes. It is not a place I would send my worst enemy. There is no chance of holding it if the Blight comes here. Despite what you may think, Warden, I have done my duty. Whatever my regrets may be for the elves, I have done what was needed for the good of Ferelden.
Ah, the classic bad guy plot. All for the greater good. This is why I had to kill my citizens, my countrymen. Slavery must be done because I needed the money to get people to die in a war. Next is to tell him about letting Tim Curry torture people.
How took my only son? The things done to him? Some are beyond any healer's skill.
How was a grown man responsible for his own actions? He will answer to the Maker for his crimes, as must we all.
Well, that's a curious statement, considering this conversation we had with the Queen regarding who was the evil mastermind. Was it Loghain or was it Tim Curry? No one really knew. Regardless, this is under Loghain's authority, and he was privy to Tim's plots. He was associating with the man. He knew him.
But enough of this. I have a question for you, Warden. What have you done with my daughter?
Oh, well, that's interesting. We have so much to say and so much to talk about, but let's bring up this one because we're not even in control of this conversation one bit. Of course, it kind of helped if we were actually a vocal protagonist, but we're just sort of reacting to everything. So we say, what have I done? I have protected her from you. And then Inora walks in and tells us how treacherous Loghain was in letting the king die and trying to take the throne. No actual drama or fear of being killed, of having to ask Eamon and the Warden to protect her life, or the rescue he made, or the people he locked up in his dungeon, or at least Tim Curry did that he also tortured. No, we'll just ramble on about Ostagar here.
So, the Warden's influence has poisoned even your mind, Inora. I wanted to protect you from this.
So Loghain really just wants to protect his daughter and unite the country. He's just not very good at telling her that or doing the whole country uniting bit. And he feels he can take on the Blight as well, even though he's unsure how to go about killing an archdemon, or if he even knows that one exists. The dragon he wants to slay is Orlais, and everything he sees looks just like an Orlesian takeover. Like everything. I don't know why at this point in the story he can't see that when all the other nobles are telling him, yeah, the darkspawn are coming. Yeah, it's this massive war, something we've never seen before. Oh wait, no, we have history books telling us there is a ancient evil. Oh, but he's not going to pay attention to that because Cailan was an awestruck child and Duncan was feeding him all these lies of stories.
Southreach stands with the Grey Wardens.
Leonis Bryland is the Arl of Southreach and always supports the Warden. That's a little gimme to the player.
Waking Sea stands with the Grey Warden.
Alstana will side with us if we give her her brother's ring and we mention that the Blight is the real threat.
Dragon's Peak supports the Warden!
Ban Sigurd supports us because we freed his son from Tim Curry, and if we bring up the topic of slavery, but we have to do both, which is kind of awkward when he didn't bring up the topic of slavery because we thought we'd get to it eventually, and he ends up not backing us, even though he saved his son.
The Western Hills throw their lot in with the Wardens. Make her help us.
Arlwolf will side with us if we simply brought up the Blight being the real threat. He was the guy who did not want to talk about losing the entire South, so his reasoning for choosing us makes sense.
I stand by Loghain. We've no hope of victory otherwise.
Who are you and what do you do? Like, can you please announce who you are?
I stand with the Warden. The Blight is coming. We need the Grey Wardens.
Okay, wait, who are you? There's too many characters here. Can anyone from the audience just cast a vote? And doesn't he look just like the guy up on top of the rafters? Is it the same man? I don't know. So everyone's behind us, and we ask Loghain to step down peacefully.
Enough. Let the Landsmeet declare the terms of the duel.
Wait, why are we dueling? The nobles simply want us to control the army of... why are we dueling you?
It shall be fought according to tradition. A test of arms, in single combat until one party yields. And we who are assembled will abide by the outcome.
Okay, wait, if we're going to be abiding by the outcome here, who cares who voted for who then? What the hell was the point of all this? Why didn't we just storm the castle, not worry about all these other side stories and other quest lines, and just kill this guy? All this setup and all this coercion and getting favors and doing things behind the scenes, and it all just comes down to a fight. This entire scene defeats the majority of what you've done in the game. All the anticipation, the tension, the build-up, the suspense, the payoff, getting everyone on your side and announcing their support and winning the Landsmeet now is just reduced to the combat system. Can you drop your opponent's HP bar faster than they can do it to you? That's all. No politics, no favors, no appealing to reason and family and doing what's right and noble. Just the opportunity for this ceremony of killing someone. So naturally we choose Morrigan.
Oh, I shall I? 'Tis so kind of you to volunteer me.
Nothing quite like a good knife fight when you bring a shape-changing witch. Also, I think the idea of calling Morrigan a champion of us is it just might be worth all of it. I don't know. So before we have an option to do anything, Riordan walks in and recommends turning him into a Grey Warden because, I don't know, he's Duncan 2.0 and is looking to recruit some Grey Wardens still? This is like perfect timing? What is going on here?
Bataeon is a warrior and general of renown. Let him be of use. Let him go through the joining.
But doesn't the joining procedure involve 2 other recruits, a task, and all that testing? Why are we making exceptions for Loghain? Just because he's strong? Finally, Alistair shows some backbone, tells us how horrible Loghain is, how he tortured Riordan and a bunch of other people and tried to kill us at every turn. Because Orlais is bad.
Just make it quick, Warden. I can face the Maker knowing that Ferelden is in your hands.
And this is a good way of putting him out of his misery, or our misery. He accepts his fate, knowing that we can do a better job because we're stronger than him, or at least Morrigan was. He at least has some dignity about him. So we pick up a random broadsword and somehow are able to supposedly decapitate him while he's standing with the tip of the sword at such a force that an angle that we can bypass his metal pauldrons in one clean hit. This is extremely awkward in both physics and timing and location. Everyone's just standing around. That head would have went flying. Well, they are just standing around before and after the fight as well, so I guess it's no big deal for them. And then Nora gets the patented Dragon Age Origins blood splatter. It's just this is perhaps the most unnecessarily B-movie awkward moment in the game. Anyway, there's a giant big pool of blood just splatting on the ground. Apparently that head just launched itself elsewhere. Who cares? Let's just get on with it. So Alistair is back to wuss mode. And Nora's like, I'm the queen. Yeoman's like, please help us, Warden. Choose a leader because you're the player character. We should just go up to every king and ask, I challenge you to a duel, and then you're going to listen to me. But because we're the Warden, all we want to do is stop the Blight. I guess Eamon trusts us because we saved him and we're involved, so okay, we might have some insight into what's good and bad in this case.
You're asking me? I guess you have to choose between Honora and me, right? Frankly, I think you should give her the throne. I've never wanted it. But it's up to you.
So we go back to business as usual and put Honora on the throne because Alistair's a putz. So now it's time to finally get to Redcliffe. As much as I enjoyed the Landsmeet, it seemed to be rushed. You didn't have much control of the conversation. All of your actions that build up to that point didn't really have a big enough payoff for what you wanted. There was a lack of voice acting, of course, and you didn't have that much authority. You didn't have that much presence. You were only reacting to conversations. Loghain was still the guy in charge. He was doing his speeches, and you never really got to call him out on as much as you wanted. I also wish there was no trial by combat, or even why there was a trial. If you did all the things you should have done and everyone was behind you, you should have been able to overpower him, saying, no, you don't get a trial by combat, sir. You're out. That was foolish. I felt that lessened the impact of your choices. I do understand in the worst case scenarios, a whole battle takes place. Everyone disagrees with everyone. That's fine. That's a poor result, so a battle must take place. But I'd look to scenarios where choices actually matter, and you can use politics, and everyone just says, okay, you're right. We can do this. Or at least justify the trial by combat. Make it an edict that only has limited value. Meaning, okay, if the warden loses, then Loghain gets to go free elsewhere. I don't know. Something else. But he wouldn't just keep ruling. That's foolish. All the nobles are against that. So how would that even work? So that's one of my unfortunate experiences with the Landsmeet. Looking back, I realize it was not as great and solid an experience, as much of a climax as it was. It was a tense and emotional moment for players to make sure all your moments, all your build-up mattered, but it sort of fizzled out at the end.